Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Coco Bandicoot here, and I am back for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of WarioWare Move It for the Nintendo Switch. So, last time, we've essentially did manage to completely done with two stages in particular, which is Dr. Crygor, Penny, and Mike, and on top of that, with the forms of Ashley and Red. And on top of all that stuff though, we did somehow manage to able to unlock every single microgames within those two stages right here, which I think is actually pretty swell, especially considering for the fact that unlike in Mona's stage, then obviously they'll have to come back into that off screen, so just in case I can able to actually unlock the rest of the microgames on my spare own time for a bit, or potentially speaking of off screen. So as a result, so far we actually did pretty good when it comes to the forms of those scores in particular, to be more specifically, Ashley and Red. Well, that's is clearly because no matter what though is about the fact that for the most part, we did somehow manage to able to tackle through every single microgames like I said before, with the forms of those two stages in particular. So anyway, today for this video is about the fact that we're going to be continuing things on and hit on to the next stage, which appears to be Orbulon. So as far as I'm aware, during the later stages to come, we might able to actually start to be learning some more forms that we can able to actually learn, and this time what appears to be we're going to be having not one, not two, but three different forms. So we have Lifter, Gift Giver, and Baga. Okay, so we're eventually going to become a chicken eventually, so either way, let's jump in.
Sweet dreams, sweeter fruit. Ah, the fruit is so tasty. Ow. Ow. Where am I? Unknown. Who am I? Oh, so unknown. Awesome! I am a god! Keep worshipping me!
Well then, it looks like we're going to be going inside Orbulon's brain, because it looks like Orbulon has amnesia. So as a result, we'll definitely not able to fix his memory until he decides able to go back into its normal self. So either way, and of course, just like the forms of how it does on the previous two stages, there are a couple of times though, as I said before, certain microgames we do need able to trust the wrist strap for it.
Lifter. The voice from above speaks. Perform a grip hold with both arms held vertically in front of you. Your palms should face your head. This form captures the strength of a mighty warrior. The voice had intended for the barbells to be a loner, but they worked so well that it was too intimidated to ask for them back.
So the first form we're going to encounter in this stage, and that's what appears to be Lifter. So in some cases we do need able to block these projectiles, and we somehow use a shield for it. So anyways, let's move on to the next form.
Gift Giver. The voice from above speaks. Open both hands, then place your form stones in them. The rocks are cute in the hand, like small pets. But remember this, you too are like a small pet to the voice.
And the next form we're going to be learning is Gift Giver, which, kind of think about it, it does kind of remind me like a similar form, as in the Waiter from WarioWare Smooth Moves, except you can now able to hold two controllers.
The voice from above speaks. Perform a grip hold with your dominant hand at your nose and the other at your rear. Your thumbs must be at your nose and rear, with the form stones parallel to the ground. Feathers looking sleek and wind blowing back my comb, clucking round the island 'cause that's all I've ever known. Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't expecting the ending conversation right there, but hey, at least we can now become a chicken because, you know, the next form we are going to be learning is Pagar. So yeah, kind of an interesting form, I might add. So anyway, a few things I want to talk about is about the fact that, well, today's date, of course, there is the 13th of July today, in some cases in 2024 today. So I believe, relatively speaking though, we've only got about 13 more days to go until the Paris 2024 Summer Olympics is about to be approaching. So either way, I'll explain more about that until whenever we get to later days to come. And one thing I do actually appreciate about the forms of Orbulon stage, if you couldn't tell, on the background right there, you can able to actually see several Easter eggs from the past WarioWare games. Like, for instance, there are some rockets, as you see on the background, which as a result, it does manage to contain multicolored rocket segments here and there, which is especially noticeable concerning, I think that was a reference to something related to WarioWare DIY for the DS version, because as far as I'm aware about the fact that with that particular version of the game, does manage to contain an Orbulon stage on that particular version. So, but either way though, we'll talk more about that if we decide able to actually finally decide to do WarioWare DIY, not only on the DS, but also on WiiWare as well, eventually at some point, once we do finish up this game first. So, yeah, relatively speaking though, everything else will become to expect at this point. So either way though, it's pretty crazy to believe about the fact that we're going to be able to be fixing Orbulon's brain. So either way though, just to get the memories back. So anyways though, and as far as I'm usually concerned with, is about the fact, oh goodness gracious me, we have to keep this thing balanced, but thankfully though, we somehow succeed. And it's time for the boss stage in Orbulon stage. And let's see what we're gonna have to do with this. So we're gonna be doing Lifter, and oh, we got ourselves a board game. Okay, this is kind of interesting. It kind of reminds me like a combination of Mario Party alongside with Sonic Shuffle, because as far as I'm aware, we have to deal with cards. So basically though, in this particular boss stage right here, is that you have to avoid those specific traps right there. And if you do manage to pull out a specific card, then obviously though you can able to land on specific spaces. If you accidentally land on these red spaces, then obviously though not only do you lose one heart, but also about the fact that if you still have one heart remaining, and if you get into that particular trap right there, obviously though you get, well, game over. So, well, to be more specifically though, you will fail this particular boss stage. And as soon as you're able to get to this point right here, it's your chance to able to actually match that specific card as what it's shown on that particular posing. So yeah, kind of interesting. And yeah, that's the one on the right. Especially I do recognize this particular, you know, the pose and stuff like that. Eventually it gets a bit tricky though, especially because, you know, they obviously added in some obstacles here and there. But regardless of everything else though, I did somehow accomplish this on my first attempt. So, pretty cool boss micro game, I'm not gonna lie. Especially concerning for the fact that this is easily one of my favorite boss micro games in this game so far. So there we go.
Orbulon is sorry. How can you possibly forget that? Where am I? Unknown. Who am I? Also unknown.
Well, this is very unexpected, especially I almost first thought about the fact that Orbulon is completely normal now, but straight to the point about the fact that that particular banana peel did somehow showed up, and as a result, Orbulon accidentally stepped onto the banana peel, and as a result, the memories has not been fixed. So, either way, so let's go ahead and double check on the specific micro games we are currently missing on. So it looks like we are missing about 7 of them. So hopefully though, I should be able to actually get every single micro games as much as possible in Orbulon stage before we move on to one of the first remake stages. Well, I'll discuss more about that if we manage to get onto the second run on Orbulon stage, which, as a result, like I said before, I will try my best able to actually just to go in and unlock every single micro games. So either way, that's just the way how I roll. So either way, let's go back in here. And of course, much like the forms of how it does on the previous WarioWare games, since, like, let's just say WarioWare Smooth Moves or something, you can able to actually skip these specific cutscenes if you wanted to, especially concerning for the fact that if you already seen that particular scene before, well, obviously, luckily for you, you can able to actually rewatch them on the theater mode. So either way, though, that's sure it's that thing. So anyways, though, there's also another thing I want to mention about this as well, is about the fact that we actually got ourselves a brand new trailer for the upcoming Marvel movie at some point in 2025, and that film was actually going to be Captain America Brave New World. And for I've seen it, it was I was a little bit optimistic about this, especially concerning for the fact that, well, at this point in time is about the fact that I've almost completely forgot about the forms of every single Marvel stuff I've seen so far. Well, mind you, about the fact that the last time I actually did manage to went to see something Marvel related, and that's what it appears to be, I would say, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 or something, or the Marvels in particular. So that's the only thing I did somehow manage able to get back into the Marvel stuff since after seeing the Marvels and stuff like that, despite the fact that, well, it has been a very long while. And relatively speaking, I was about the fact I'm pretty sure we've only got about 13 more days to go as well, that Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be releasing on a big screen. So because of that, though, still I'm basically excited for it, especially concerning about the fact that despite it might actually have some, like, edgier moments here and there, ranging from strong languages, in addition to gore and all that stuff, to be expected when it comes to Deadpool movies, since the first one and the second one. So I'm still basically excited regardless of anything else, though, especially decided able to finally catch up on specifically watching Marvel movies and stuff like that. So either way, though, what if I noticed something right at the very end of that particular teaser trailer for Captain America Brave New World? I did somehow manage to find out there was actually going to be a Red Hulk, which I was not expecting to see that coming. Well, mind you, about the fact that the film itself isn't even out yet, until, to be more specifically, February 14th in next year in 2025. So I'm not exactly sure I was expecting to try to able to see it in day one, or perhaps even maybe I'll wait until when Disney Plus decides able to actually release the film regardless. So either way, though. And, relatively speaking, though, there's also another thing I want to mention about this, actually, and that's what appears to be about the fact that, well, suffice to say, out of nowhere, Knuckles the series, not only on DVD, but also on Blu-ray and 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray, well, apparently, though, it now exists, specifically the UK version, because as far as I'm aware, I did manage to double-check in during the forms of an HMV website just recently, and then out of nowhere, well, suffice to say, you know what about the fact that I was assuming about the fact that Knuckles the series was only going to be exclusive to Paramount Plus? Well, suffice to say, though, I very appreciate about the fact that the DVD release and the Blu-ray release, as well as the forms of maybe 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray as well, that they somehow now finally exist. And as far as I'm aware, it did somehow confirms the actual release date for it, and as a result, it's going to be releasing until 9th of September in 2024, the same day as the North American's release of the Sega Dreamcast's 25th anniversary. So at least that's what I was expecting or something, but either way. So as you can tell, we did somehow manage to do a one hard run on that particular boss micro game, especially concerning for the fact that after all, we've already done the forms of level 1 variant of that particular board game or anything else like that. So either way, time to move along to level 2 variant for certain micro games. So I just need to do 2 pull-ups, so that should be good to go from my ad. So, as far as I was gonna try to get, Knuckles, the series, on, physical media. Well, I'm not entirely sure about this just yet, though, because as far as I'm aware, I'm almost running out of space, actually, for not only for my DVD shelf, but it's also about the fact I'm, almost running out of space for my Blu-ray, stuff as well. Maybe I will do one day, maybe I might as well give that series a second chance, to able to actually give my, second thoughts about the forms of, you know, Knuckles the series in general, well, I already know for a fact that it does have some issues, but regardless of everything else though, is about the fact that it's nice to see Knuckles is actually getting its own series, despite the fact that it only focuses on one of those specific characters for the majority of the entire series, which appears to be Wade. So that's the only downside I can probably think about it still. But apart from those aside things though, is about the fact that at the moment right now, it's actually kind of pricey at the moment when it comes to both the Blu-ray version alongside with the phones of the DVD version as well. Like, as far as I'm aware, the Blu-ray version is actually going to cost exactly £20, and as far as I'm aware, the DVD version actually costs about £15 so far. So because of that though, yeah, I might actually have to wait on that for a while, especially concerning for the fact that, well, obviously though, I'm still, like, preparing to actually decide to, okay, I did not figure that out, but either way, so there's also another thing I want to point out as well, and that's what appears to be about the fact that the film called Rango, that particular film that came out since in 2011. Well, apparently though, the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray of Rango is going to be coming, which as a result is going to be releasing until 29th of July in this year in 2024, which is roughly the exact same day as in, unfortunately though, about the fact that we haven't got that long left now until the Xbox Live Marketplace. To be more specifically, the Xbox 360 Marketplace will about to be closing down soon, so because of that though, yeah, I'm not too excited about this though, when that happens, especially concerning for the fact that I must admit though, I felt incredibly sorry for Xbox 360 owners back in the day, that they have a lot of nostalgia memories whenever they somehow explore into the Xbox 360 Marketplace, and as a result, every nowadays, things must go on, especially concerning for the fact that, well, it's already bad enough about the fact that you might able to actually miss out on downloadable content. There was not usually backwards compatibility for certain Xbox 360 games onto Xbox One, including Xbox Series X/S. So as far as I'm aware, like, you know, Sonic 06 is one of those examples. Despite the fact you're not going to miss that much, for the sake of defaults the entire DLC lineup of Sonic 06 on the Xbox 360 version most likely. So yeah, that's as far as I can usually say about this, I guess. So either way though, so as you can tell, we're now on to level 2 variant of that particular boss micro game right here. Well, I'm not exactly sure what this particular boss micro game is actually called exactly. Maybe I'll discuss more about that if we manage able to dive right into the first remix stage. So either way, so let's see what's the next form we are going to be learning about when it comes to that particular short break. And it looks like we got ourselves some sort of like a telephone post. So
adequate room around you.
And of course, every time whenever you go back onto the actual stage itself, obviously though, the narration just somehow warns us about the fact that when it comes to multiple things, like he did mentions about the fact that sometimes you do need to take a break for a little bit, just in case if you get too exhausted every once in a while. And of course, much like defaults of how it does it for the Nintendo Wii instructions before you start the game off, basically though, you don't able to get close to the screen, specifically the TV screen, because otherwise, if you accidentally did, then obviously though, it will damage the actual television, and there is no way you can able to recover it for yourself, so you have to able to buy another TV or something. So, assuming of course, no matter what though, you can probably get the idea of what I was expecting to try to say about this, I guess. So, but either way, there's also another thing I want to... okay, I was not expecting for that particular wind direction, but at least we did somehow pull this off, potentially speaking. So, and there's also another thing I want to classify for mentioning about this, potentially speaking now, is about the fact that, did you guys know, it's been 5 years ago since that particular SpongeBob SquarePants birthday celebration special, known as SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout. That particular episode has been out since 5 years ago, which, yeah, time flies, doesn't it? especially concerning for the fact that obviously though that episode is actually based off from the 20th anniversary of the entire SpongeBob franchise as far as I'm concerned. Well, mind you, I still have not seen it though, especially concerning for the fact that I will admit it though right away. I still kind of prefer the classic SpongeBob episodes rather than the modern episodes to me though, and something tells me I'm missing 2 microgames. Yep. I somehow did, especially because, well, much like Mona's stage in particular, that I'm somehow missing 2 microgames. So this means we are now missing a grand total of 4 microgames so far. Which, I will admit though, it's not that great, but regardless of everything else though is about the fact that hopefully I should be able to actually find the remaining microgames off screen, so I can show you guys every single microgames of how this game actually has to offer. But anyway, let's move on now to the next stage, which appears to be Remix 1. So just like the evolves of how it does it on the previous WarioWare games, including WarioWare Get Together, we're going to be able to experiencing the exactly the same microgames as before, within 3 or 4 stages in particular, which there are Mona, Dr. Krygor, Ashley, and Orbulon stages, except the fact that I think we'll have to be able to go for this stage for 1 time only, because, relatively speaking, there's nothing else I can really say. So either way, let's hop right into Remix 1.
Not so relaxing rapids.
We landed on a...
Alright then, we did somehow able to actually catch a ride on the actual tour bus, so either way, let's get the entire stage started. So anyway, there's also another thing I want to classify for mentioning about this actually. That's what appears to be about the fact that out of nowhere, we did somehow also able to receive a brand new trailer for one of those Netflix films is going to be on its way until, to be more specifically, in the beginning portion of August, which as a result, to be more specifically, the 2nd of August, and that particular film in questioning is Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Chicks movie, and for I've seen a trailer of it so far, I think it's actually going to be okay enough as far as I'm usually concerned. Although I'm still curious to check it out until the actual film is going to be releasing for reals this time, for the sake of the films of the 2nd of August, like I said before, because unlike the films of how it does it in the beginning of the year, to be more specifically 2024, that with the films of how the fact that social media did accidentally leak the film just before the actual film properly releases. So yeah, my expectations might be a little bit lower than I was expecting, but I'm still curious to check it out as soon as I'm able to actually talk more about it for my final thoughts of Saving Bikini Bottom, a Sandy Cheeks movie. So either way though, yeah, that's as far as I can usually try and able to imagine saying that. So, and also I just realized about the fact that Lulu was there for the sake of the actual stage itself, especially concerning for the fact that I'm guessing the reason why Lulu decides to join in the stage because of the forms of the ending cutscene of Mona's stage, which is understandable after that about the fact that, well, we're almost assuming that we'll see real mermaids, but actually as it turns out it was actually Lulu got stuck into that particular fish in underwater. So yeah, good thing we did somehow rescue her at the end of that particular level. So, anyways though, there's also another thing I want to mention about this as well, and that's what appears to be about the fact that, well, suffice to say, that Sonic Dream Team did somehow manage to able to receive a really good reward, and that's what appears to be about the fact that, well, Sonic Dream Team did somehow win Best Mobile Game at Death Star Awards 2024. So yeah, that's actually pretty good. despite the fact I still haven't experienced that game yet though, mainly because it does still manage to able to, it requires me to able to actually activate the subscription for that particular Apple Arcade. So, kind of a shame really, but regardless of everything else though, that's as far as I can try to able to think about it. And there's also another thing I want to mention about something, and that's what appears to be about the fact that one of those games in particular, called Transformers Galactic Trials Races, onto the Nintendo Switch until specifically in this October. To be more specifically, I would say on, well, let's just say the 11th of October, I'm pretty sure, around the same day as the forms of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, at least if I was assuming so anyway. So, anyways, let's get on to the boss stage in Remix 1 stage, and oh boy, we're going back into that particular familiar boss micro game based off from Orbulon stage. And as far as I'm aware, this particular boss micro game is actually called Muscle Road, because obviously though we are able to take control of the forms of this muscly person while trying to navigate through the board. So as a result, yeah, I can totally understand about the fact that it's all like muscly around here. So, and of course, just like the forms of how it does it in WarioWare Get It Together, I'm pretty sure this particular variant of this boss micro game is actually based off from level 3, because as far as I'm aware, that we now need to deal with the forms of 3 muscle person in that particular ending sequence. So, but again, if you made one simple mistake, if you still have one heart with you, obviously though you have to try again. So, as a result, you're nothing different from that particular point of view. So, but anyways though, in regards of everything else I would also like to explain is about the fact that it may look like that the Nintendo Switch is the longest lasting home console ever, which as a result is actually very impressive concerning for the fact that, well, you know, Nintendo Switch is still doing really dang well, especially concerning for the fact of how many titles we're going to be having right now, especially with upcoming titles are also going to be coming as well, which I will say is very impressive. So there we go, Remix 1 stage is done. Okay, that ending was pretty unexpected, I might add. So anyway, now let's move on to the second half in terms of story mode in WarioWare Move It. And as a result, we did somehow unlock 3 more stages. So we have Katanana, and we have Young Cricket, and Master Mantis. Okay, that's pretty cool. And on top of that, there's also Jimmy T as well. So relatively speaking, we'll go ahead and get started with the forms of Katanana stage first. So as a result, we can able to actually go through the other 2 stages, enjoying at some point until tomorrow. So anyway, and as far as I'm aware, much like the forms of how it does it in Orbulon stage, we can able to actually come across into not 1, not 2, but 3 new forms we can learn. And this time we can able to actually learn At Attention, Fashionista, and Hand Model. As far as the hand model, as far as I'm concerned, I think it does manage to encourage us able to use one of those special key features, specifically if you're trying to able to take control with the right Joy-Con, which you know exactly what I'm on about. So either way though, let's get this entire stage started with Katanana. So I'm very excited about this for the most part.
The Grand Parfait Adventure! Ah! A cares away parfait! Yum!
Thanks for the map, guys! See ya!
Whee! Where'd he go? Up there!
Lay off, will ya?
Oh no!
Well, Leo, we've met again after the events of WarioWare Get It Together, I see. Except this time you're no longer gonna be able to turn into people into animals this time, so instead you somehow got captured by that particular weird plant monster, despite the fact you steal something from us, so...
Fashionista. The voice from above speaks. Perform a grip hold with your dominant hand over your shoulder. thumb facing down. The other hand's palm is at your waist. Its thumb should face forward. This form is very popular and flattering. The voice was not immune to its charms and would often show off this form from several angles, asking which was its good side.
And as such, we're gonna be learning Fashionista. So either way, so let's see what we got. So we need to wipe that particular tortoise's shell. So potentially speaking of, that's actually very self-explanatory right there.
Hand model. The voice from above speaks. Let go of the left form stone. Hold the right form stone in your left hand. Capture your right hand in the gesture window. The form stone strap should be on the bottom. Feeling useless and adrift, the left form stone stood awkwardly by. Eventually, the island winds carried it off.
And now we come to the most unique form we can able to learn, and that's what appears to be hand model, where basically this actually requires IR camera function. So yeah, that's actually quite interesting.
At attention. The voice from above speaks. Perform a grip hold with both arms held straight down. Do not underestimate the simpler forms. Your mind and body must always be ready, for at any moment, you may be called upon to accomplish the inexplicable.
And now we're on to at attention. So yeah, basically you stand completely still while you're trying to able to actually like tilt your body around or something like that. Well, mind you about the fact that it's been about 6 days ago since I actually have last played this game for sure. And as far as I've definitely heard from Ray the Flying Squirrel, that yes indeed that both Sonic and Amy have now finally finished up everything from Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric now. So either way though, yeah, we can now able to actually decide able to tackle through even more Sonic Let's Plays in the future, meaning including some occasional bad ones here and there, like for instance Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episodes 1 as well as Episode 2 for a small extent, but we'll discuss more about that until whenever we continue proceedings for this particular game from now on. So anyway, so it looks like we're now on to hand model again. Now there are some micro games for hand model form that sometimes it does manage to activate the IR camera, while other times though is about the fact that it doesn't seem to able to activate that particular camera. So this means you have to do it with a lot of motions. So anyway, so we did catch this particular frisbee with a good timing succession. So either way, now I believe relatively speaking now we're about to able to go through 15 micro games at this point. Oh, I did not notice I have to spin around, so with my entire body to do so. Oh jeez, I did not know that. No. I did fail on that miserably. In fact, relatively speaking, what if I've managed able to first got to this stage? I somehow managed to fail on this stage multiple times, and there's my first game over on this run, so as a result, again, controls are pretty much hit and miss. So, oh yeah, there's something interesting. So we have second chance since. So basically though, if you get a game over for the first time around, on depending on what stage you go into, basically though you have yourselves a retry feature right here, so that way you can able to continue your progressioning. So it's been like the continue system from basically just like WarioWare Gold alongside with WarioWare Gear together, that if you do manage to able to do a continue system right there, you can able to continue where you left off. However, unlike the previous two games, obviously though you don't use coins as currency this time. So basically though, this only triggers if you come across into a stage for the first time. So because of that though, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate about the fact that we come across into our first game over in this whole entire run, which then again though, I did try my best but sometimes, like I said before, the controls can sometimes not be to perfection. So either way, let's move on to the boss micro game in Katanana, which this particular boss micro game is a little bit weird though, honestly. But basically though, all you have to do is just organize the specific uniforms for the rugby players. So basically though, if you're trying to able to put the correct uniform on, then obviously though, that's essentially all you have to do for this point. So sometimes though, about the fact that if we get on to level 2 or level 3 variant, it gets a little bit tricky because sometimes those players decide able to trick you out at one point. So there we go, that concludes Katanana stage, despite the fact that we used one continue.
Here you are, ladies! One cares away Parfait!
Time for sweets!
But I'm still salty!
And conveniently enough, much like the forms of how it does it in WarioWare Gold, that both Cat and Nana for some reason are now obsessed with food now. So yeah, that seems kind of odd. But anyway, so let's see how many micro games we are missing, and this time we are missing 6 of them. So not too shabby for the most part. I mean, then again though, like I said before, is about the fact that whenever I first got into that particular stage for the first time, that basically though, I also got myself my first game over on that particular run. Well, this is clearly because, like I said before, sometimes the motion controls works, and other times the motion controls cannot work sometimes. Well, usually relatively speaking though, and this also applies for the fact that sometimes hand model micro games can sometimes feel a bit tricky to me. Last is clearly because of this unexpected camera activation has been turned on automatically. If you managed able to see those red dots lit up for that IR camera, this actually signifies about the fact that you must able to use that feature at all costs. So anyway, so now let's get on to the second run in Katanana stage. So wish me luck, I suppose, especially concerning for the fact I will say this right from the start. This is by far the hardest stage I've ever experienced so far in WarioWare Move It. Well, this is clearly because, like I said before, that the hand model form is actually very tricky to utilize. So, but anyway, let's talk about another thing I want to discuss, and that's what appears to be about the fact that, well, suffice to say, for this point and onwards, is about the fact that at this point, that when it comes to the films of certain other films, likely or so for the majority of certain films, has been confirmed so far. For our 2026 selections of movies, we actually got ourselves about a grand total of, let's just say, 8 films have been listed so far for our 2026. So as a result, we've got Shrek 5, which we already know about that, and we've got Frozen 3, Toy Story 5, Paw Patrol 3 for some odd reason, the Cat in the Hat animated movie, the Super Mario Bros. Movie 2, Aang the Last Airbender, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. So, yeah, I've got nothing else to say about the forms of some films, but regardless of everything else though, I think I did have some high expectations for the sake of 2026, not only for certain films as I mentioned this earlier, but it's also about the fact that exponentially, that we're about to be seeing the next installment of the Winter Olympic Games, except this time it's going to take place in Italy. So, pretty obvious choice, kind of think about it. So, despite the fact it's been about 2 years ago since we've last watched something Winter Olympics related, so yeah, I got nothing more to add. I do apologize for my commentary, it's a little bit awkward sometimes, but that's just clearly because I just got to concentrate on— Are you kidding me? Ah, yeah, tell me about it. That particular micro game, I'll admit though, the timing, it stinks for that particular, you know, Slay Your Sword one, but that's just clearly because, again, sometimes I did my motions correctly, but other times though, it doesn't work half the time, so— Are you kidding me? Okay, this is not gonna go well. Especially concerning for the fact that, like I said before, it's gone pretty rough. But fundamentally speaking, though, at least we did this pretty decently, I guess. So anyway, leave 2. Okay, there we go. Now I did manage to done this successfully this time. So at the very least, that's something. So anyways, though, as far as the boss micro game of this particular micro game we're onto right now, this boss micro game is actually called uniform distributor. So basically though, because you know, we had to organize ourselves with these specific uniforms for those specifically American football players. So, or to be more specifically, rugby players more like. So, but anyways though, and there's also another thing I want to mention about this as well, and that's what appears to be about the fact that I can't even believe by saying this, is about the fact that we've almost got about, let's just say, we've only got 5 more days to go until Nintendo World Championships NES Edition is going to be releasing on the Nintendo Switch. So either way though, I'm sure about the fact that some players out there will be pretty excited about that game. But either way, but then again though, it's so unfortunate that again, we were expecting to originally try to get the game either digitally or physically for the deluxe set, but unfortunately though, like we said this before, it's not gonna happen for us, mainly because of the forms of we were almost running out of space for our memory storage for our Nintendo Switch so far, especially concerning for the fact that we keep on getting certain digital stuff, including certain DLC for some games in particular, and on top of all that stuff, that was about the fact that we are still basically saving up for certain Switch games coming up, and on top of all that stuff, that was about the fact that I don't think we've got enough room to able to actually put on certain items for certain displays, like for instance about the forms of the pretty cool gold cartridge display, which as a result I would have liked able to place that somewhere, but unfortunately though I haven't got enough room to able to actually place certain items like I said before. So anyway, so let's go and do some bit of gesture right here. Okay, what the heck is going on here? No! Ah, darn it all. This is not gonna go well. This is seriously, it's not gonna go well at all. Alright, so we'll just oh, really? My timing is way off! That's not good. Definitely the worst run we've ever done. But regardless of everything else though, we did somehow got 21 points. So, yeah, it's definitely not the greatest run ever. It's definitely one of the worst runs we've ever done. Especially concerning for the fact that, again, the hand model can sometimes feel a bit, I don't know, work sometimes, while other times do not work half the time. So, anyway, let's see how many micro games we are missing. And conveniently enough, we are missing 1. So, that's just terrific. Especially concerning we are now missing a grand total of 5 micro games we are currently missing on. So either way, yeah, it's not that great, but hopefully though, like I said earlier, I will try my best able to actually unlock that particular micro game off screen. So anyway, so that pretty much does it for Catanano stage at the very least. So I suppose with all that being said folks, is that we get endings of this point right here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of WarioWare Move It. It's that we're about to be going into the next stage, or should I say the next 2 stages, which we have Young Cricket and Master Mantis and Jimmy T. So as a result, it's pretty nice to see Young Cricket deserves his own stage again after the events of WarioWare Gold, because he doesn't have one in Get It Together though, unfortunately. But I'll discuss more about that until tomorrow. So I'll see you guys until tomorrow. Later, fellas.